Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. My name is Ed Kiernan, Chair for the FCRC. The Franchise and Concession Review Committee public hearing will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor,
Present.
Office of the Mayor,
Olivia Arno, present.
Controller,
Ricky DaCosta for New York City Controller Brad Landa, present.
Corporation Counsel,
Matthew Bridge, present.
Office of Management and Budget,
Yvonne Kintian, present.
President, Borough of the Bronx,
Robert Maraglia, Bronx Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson.
President, Borough of Brooklyn. Let the record reflect, President, Borough of Brooklyn is not present. President, Borough of Manhattan.
Peter Toyer for Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine.
President, Borough of Queens. Let the record reflect, President, Borough of Queens is not present. President, Borough of Staten Island.
Yassine Jokevich for Staten Island Borough President, Vito J. Fasel, present.
Representative, Department of Parks and Recreation.
David Searle, present.
Welcome to this public hearing of the Franchise and Concession Review Committee. The hearing being conducted today has been publicly advertised in accordance with the New York City Charter and concession rules of the City of New York. We want to be sure that anyone desiring to be heard has an opportunity to do so. All persons wishing to speak must fill out a request slip, which may be obtained from the clerk. Those registered will be called upon to testify after their calendar item has been called. You may also submit written testimony to the clerk, which will be made part of the record. Any written submissions can be given to the clerk at the close of the public hearing, or can be emailed to fcrc@mocs.nyc.gov before the end of the day. All written testimony will be provided to the committee for their review and consideration. Would the clerk please call the first calendar item?
New York City, Department of Parks and Recreation, calendar item number 1. In the matter of the intent to award as a concession a license agreement to Woolman Park Partners II, LLC for the operation and maintenance of Woolman Rink, Central Park, Manhattan. The license will provide for a term of 20 years.
We'll take testimony from the public first, but I'd like to ask members of the committee if they have any statements.
Yes, I would like to make a statement on behalf of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine. On behalf of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, I would like to thank the stakeholders, members of the public, representatives from city agencies, and my fellow commission members for being here today. The opportunity to operate a concession of public property comes with a serious and solemn responsibility to uphold our values and deliver meaningful benefits to residents and visitors. Woolman Rink is not just another recreational facility. It's an iconic part of our park system, a cherished space for New Yorkers of all ages, and its future matters deeply to the people of this city. That's why this concession has drawn not only strong interest from respondents, but also close scrutiny from me and other local officials. We've been united in calling for a steward whose track record and values reflect our values of equity, transparency, and deep care for public space. While there is no vote today, I want to express my profound disappointment the city chose not to move forward with a proposal from the Central Park Conservancy, an offer that would have transformed Woolman Rink and the southeast corner of the park for generations to come. The Conservancy's $120 million proposal wasn't just about operations. It was a visionary plan to reimagine the rink's role in the park. It would have improved accessibility, repaired long-neglected infrastructure, restored the nearby pond, and better integrated Woolman into the surrounding landscape. And as a trusted, mission-driven nonprofit that has proven its ability to care for Central Park with excellence and equity, the Conservancy was uniquely positioned to deliver programming that reflects the needs, identities, and aspirations of New Yorkers. This is an enormous missed opportunity. Thank you.
And on behalf of New York City Controller Brad Lander, I'd like to echo a lot of what we heard from the Borough President. From our perspective, this process has been incredibly short-sighted, and it represents a real missed opportunity by the city to keep this valuable public amenity in the stewardship of a not-for-profit whose sole interest is the public good. While our office certainly recognizes the importance of revenue generation, it must also be weighed alongside broader considerations of the public interest, namely resiliency, accessibility, and affordability for the widest swath of New Yorkers, as well as visitors. And to jam this through in the waning days of this mayor's administration is a real shame. So, thank you.
We'll now begin hearing testimony from the public. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to testify. We ask that you are respectful of the time limit and are courteous when providing testimony. When you testify, please restate your name and affiliation, if any. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
Glenn Cohen, please provide your full name and affiliation for the record. You can go up to the podium to speak. I'll be letting you know when you've got 1 minute left and when your time is up.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me speak. My name is Glenn Cohen. I live at 205 East 95th Street, New York, New York. I'm a proud New Yorker, and I had the opportunity of working as a skate guard at Woman Rink last year. I'm a retired industrial engineer and operation consultant, and I work for American Express, Emory Healthcare, and Kaiser Permanente, and senior management. I worked this past season as a skate guard at Woman Rink. I also play hockey, which I witnessed. They were both upset, things I witnessed were both upsetting and alarming. I will share with you some of what I personally experienced while working there. The following is just a small glimpse of the many issues I found or experienced over last season. From a management perspective, the director of operations, the manager of operations, personal management were rarely or never there. They worked off-site. In fact, the manager of operations never came, or I never even met him. The day-to-day operations fell to 22 to 28-year-old supervisors with little training and management experience. This leadership vacuum led to serious failures. For example, rules and announcements were infrequently followed or skipped depending on who was working that day. Skate guards came to work impaired, one admitted using cocaine prior to working because he was up all night partying the night before and bragged about it. It is common knowledge among skate guards that they take extended breaks, hide out outside the rink, and smoke marijuana, and come back impaired and hazy eyes, which I personally experienced. A violent fight involving 5 employees and guests erupted one night, and Woman Rink employees used chairs to hit customers over the head with, and the police were called. Arguments ensue commonly because of lack of escalation management, and shouting matches happen daily with
1 minute remaining.
with customers. Okay. 1,000 to 2,000 patients are injured each year. This happens, 3 to 10 happen daily, and nothing seems to be done. The facilities are broken down, are not maintained, the rink is not updated, doors are broken to such an extent that I've seen skaters fall underneath doors onto concrete. Also, there's toilets overflow, sewage is on the floor, and where you change to dress is a mess. Lastly, there's missed opportunity. Space is not utilized effectively, where people have to wait for drinks and other services that can be paying for due to long excessive lines and queues, being a missed opportunity for, I estimate, about $400 to $1 million of revenue for the city. Could I have permission to continue?
Yeah, please wrap up.
Okay. I'm profoundly upset as a New Yorker, and profoundly upset that an icon like Roman Rink, which is one of the gems of the cities, and as I work there, is visited by hundreds of tourists, where they have to wait 2 hours to skate, not only an hour in line because of poor queue management and operations, but then to rent skates. Skates are also thrown in garbage cans and reused immediately, not dried out, not sanitized and given to people to skate on. Ramps aren't clean from rain, freezing, people falling on the ramps, getting onto the ice. I feel that it's not only dangerous, but in neglect, and I feel it's the city's responsibility and to right this wrong and do what's right for our citizens, skaters, and practitioners alike. And again, I don't have time. This is a small. If you want to hear more, I wrote a detailed report. I think it's 10 pages. I have examples of pictures. Please take a look at it. I can only echo the president of the Borough of Manhattan and the controller's comments. And if anybody would like to talk to me afterwards, I'm open to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The clerk, please call the next person who wishes to testify.
Avita Van C. Please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Avita Bansi for the Boys Club of New York. So for the last 4 years, since I started working at the Boys Club, we've partnered with Woolman Park. And in my experience, the team at Woolman Park has been exceptional, making the park accessible to Boys Club members, young men and boys of New York City. Our sites are in Flushing, Harlem, and the Bronx. And so in working with Woolman Park, they've always prioritized our needs as a nonprofit. We flagged that there isn't much affordable food in the area for the members when they go skating, so they jumped to give us free food vouchers. So it's one of the highlights for a lot of the boys and young men over the winter. There's not a lot to do outside that's free, it's accessible for families of Boys Club of New York, and they've invited us on multiple occasions every year to skate for free. We've joined opening day, and every time we go, we have the free food. And I have a few comments, because I could go on and on about how great it is to work with the team, but I have a few comments from some of the moms and boys themselves. So one mom, Sherry from Flushing, stated, "It was a wonderful experience and we look forward to attending whenever the opportunity is shared. They had special instructors, coaches to teach, and the staff was extremely helpful. It's a comfortable place for family fun. Everyone was professional and the free lunch was excellent and helpful." Another mom, Maria, "It's a wonderful experience. My son Tiago learned how to ice skate in 1 day with the patient instructors and then was able to skate with his friends that same day. It was his first time skating. And for the moms, it was wonderful watching their children enjoy themselves while learning a new skill. We hope to join again this year and look forward to the experience." Elijah, 14 years old, "The coaches did a great job of teaching the basics and helping us learn to skate in the basics by using clear, simple instructions that everybody understood."
1 minute remaining.
Let me go to this one. Aiden Lynn, 10 years old, "Had lots of fun with friends. The staff was nice and funny, especially the instructors. We played a game called Catch the Teacher. Lunch was good, and my favorite part was the hot cocoa. It was really good. For 150 years, the Boys Club of New York has sought partnerships with organizations dedicated to building sustainable, enduring impact. The most successful collaborations are those like the one we share with Woolman Park, where the partner actively works with our staff to build our capacity to offer resources and valuable opportunities for members and their families. Woolman Park has been exceptional, committed to ensuring generations of New York City boys and young men will enjoy the Central Park gem. And I think it's really important to note that this rink is intended to be New York City's rink. I think Woolman Park has done that, from my perspective, as head partnerships for the Boys Club. Thank you.
Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
David Saltonstall, please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is David Saltonstall. I'm the Vice President for Government Relations and Policy at the Central Park Conservancy, and thank you for this opportunity. The Conservancy has stewarded the park for more than 40 years, and we are here today to urge this committee to defer any action on the short-sighted license agreement to Woolman Park Partners, led by related companies. Please do not look upon this contract as another concession that needs to be pushed along. This should be a matter of conscience for all involved, because in our view, this deal is bad for the park, bad for the city, and most of all, bad for New Yorkers. It is also indefensible from a fiscal perspective, given that in approving this contract, the city will be rejecting a sole source offer from the Central Park Conservancy that would provide 10 times the level of capital investment committed to by related. Allow me to review the recent history. Last year, well before the bidding on Woolman began, the Conservancy offered to invest $120 million in private funds to reimagine the entire southeast corner of Central Park, including Woolman. It remains one of the largest private gifts ever offered to the city, and it was rejected. By contrast, Related has committed to only $10.9 million in capital improvements, less than 1/10 of the Conservancy's offer. The deal also calls for Related to return a few $1 million to the city in concession revenue each year, which the Conservancy offered to match. Our plan would fix handicapped access in and around Woolman, repair failing stormwater infrastructure, dredge and restore the nearby pond, and ensure Woolman is integrated into the park's natural setting. None of that will happen under the current contract before you. Instead, Woolman will receive surface improvements while Related will extract profits over the 20-year lifetime of the contract. And that term is worth pausing on.
1 minute remaining.
I'm going to need maybe 2 minutes if I can. A contract of that duration, the longest allowed by the city, should not be approved in the waning days of any administration, given that in just 77 days there will be a new mayor and presumably a new FCRC. It will be the next administration that will have the responsibility to manage the contract, and it should be given the opportunity to review it. More broadly, as City Councilwoman Gail Brewer and 18 fellow elected officials have already urged in writing to the mayor, we believe in a simple truth. Public facilities like Woolman should be operated on a not-for-profit basis. This is especially true when there is a trusted nonprofit partner with unparalleled knowledge of the site and a track record of delivering big projects on time and on budget, as the Conservancy did with the new Davis Center. I'm wrapping up. Some have suggested the Conservancy should have entered the competitive bid process against Related and the Trump organization, which also bid on the project. But it makes no sense to bid to give a gift. We are a nonprofit that has stewarded the park for decades in partnership with the city. Asking us to compete against major multinational corporations is not fair and not how partners should treat each other. City Hall can still hit the brakes on this deal and leave it to the next mayor to compare all offers in the full light of day. Doing so could ensure Woolman Rink remains what it was always meant to be, a public good and not a source of profit for private interests. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
Gail Brewer, please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Good afternoon, I'm Gail Brewer, City Council member for District 6, which is the Upper West Side and Central Park, and I'm also speaking for New York State Senator Brad Holman-Siegel and for Senator Liz Kruger. And I just want to mention, we have given you copies of the letter that David Saltonstall mentioned, and also I wrote one way back when I was borough president on the same topic before anybody else was thinking about this issue. I urge this committee to consider the concerns raised at the public hearing and reject the license agreement for operation and maintenance of Woolman Rink in Central Park in accordance with the rules set forth in the charter under the City Administrative Procedure Act. Instead, the Parks Department should re-enter negotiations for a sole source agreement with the not-for-profit Central Park Conservancy, which has already offered, as you heard, to invest some $120 million to reimagine the entire southeast quadrant of the park and operate Woolman in a manner that would be better for the public and better for the park than any private company. When Woolman and Lasky Rinse opened decades ago, I was around, they were run by the city and the public was charged a nominal entrance fee and free programming was available. When the city could no longer afford to maintain these facilities, license agreements were granted to concessionaires. While there is a place for private concession in public parks to help buttress amenities that the city is unable to provide, it is not the best course when there is a willing and capable nonprofit partner with the capacity and experience to undertake big projects as there is in Central Park. The old Rasker Rink has very recently been transformed into an absolutely magnificent new facility, now known as the Davis Center by the Central Park Conservancy through a sole source agreement granted by the City of New York. The Conservancy's proposal to similarly reimagine Woolman and the surrounding landscapes would create operational efficiencies through linking the management of Woolman and Davis, including the coordination of programming, oversight, and capital projects. It would turn Woolman into a truly public facility with bathrooms that are accessible to the public, a restaurant open to all, and recreational offerings that would be far more affordable. Please remember this, it's really expensive to go to Woolman now, to the public than any private developer would want to provide. And it could be done in a manner that still provided a revenue stream for the city, in fact, maybe more money, and was sensitive to the park's surrounding landscapes, many of which are in dire need of improvement. As official stewards of the park for more than 40 years, the Conservancy is uniquely qualified and equipped to manage Woolman Rink and to undertake the necessary work surrounding the facility in a manner that is holistic and of the highest standards, just as they have done at the new Davis Center at the Harlemere. I want to thank the Controller, the Manhattan Borough President. I feel very, very strongly about this. Please reconsider the fact that you are not giving to Central Park Conservancy Woolman Rink. This is a public park. We need to have affordable possibilities for people. It is so expensive to go there now. And the fact that Davis and Woolman could work together, I don't understand how in the world this has not been given to Central Park Conservancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
Grace Diamond, please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Hello, my name is Grace Diamond. I have lived and worked in New York City since 2011, and I worked as a purchasing and inventory manager from May 2022 until November 2024 for the Central Park Conservancy. Please pardon me if I make any errors or speak naively or incorrectly about these civic processes. I'm still in the process of learning. I am here to represent the point of view of a former Central Park Conservancy employee that has worked at the dairy and interacted with the Woolman Park partner staff, the people that are bidding. With a 20-year contract on the line, it does follow, in my opinion, that the contract should not be awarded until New Yorkers like myself have cast their votes in the general mayoral election. The impacts of a long-term contract are ones that will directly impact the candidates we are voting on in a few weeks. There's no incumbent. It follows the new administration will be impacted by the results of the committee's decisions. I would like to understand more about any applicant's current policies on collective bargaining within their organizations. Non-profits and for-profits both have leeways on employee policies. From what I could read in the draft provided to the public, there is an availability for collective bargaining within organizations, but it doesn't really talk about what availability staff truly have if they are current or prospective employees. I don't have enough evidence to understand whether or not, if I were to apply for a role in whoever is the licensee of the Woolman Park rink, that I would be able to organize and collectively bargain with my fellow employees in a future instance. Therefore, it's really spurred a personal interest in understanding how the city works on this type of topic. I can't find very many public resources, so I've just been reading between the lines as much as I can, just because I feel extremely passionate that whoever does have this type of contract
1 minute remaining.
does have some transparency in regards to the policies they have about their employees and collective bargaining. I know from my own personal experience when I worked from the Central Park Conservancy, I had a general interpretation that they disapprove of all unions. They do not allow for collective bargaining in my read of their information. I believe that this is a type of important information that should be made clear in any public or public-private partnership bid applications and further public records. I think that when prospective employees go to these licensees, they may not know these policies up front, and it might be something to consider sharing more transparently. I also just think that this vote should be delayed until after the 2025 mayoral election. I've submitted a way more eloquent written testimony and am willing to answer any further questions.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
Shaker Krishnan, please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Good afternoon to the committee. Thank you all for convening us today on this application. My name is Shaker Krishnan. I'm a New York City Council member and the chair of our City Council's Committee on Parks and Recreation. I'm here today to testify in opposition to the application that this committee is considering regarding a concession at Woolman Rink. I cannot, in good conscience, support handing Woolman Rink, one of our city's most iconic public parks, to a private entity that will run the space for profit, especially when there is another viable nonprofit offer on the table from the Central Park Conservancy. The offer from Woolman Park Partners, two LLCs, an affiliate of related companies, is insufficient on its face to meet the needs of our city. There would not be significant investment in the park, patrons would be charged exorbitant rates to skate, and there are serious questions as to the process leading to this selection, given the public news coverage at the moment. When the Parks Department first announced the RFP process for this space, I, along with over a dozen elected officials, including my esteemed colleague, Councilmember Brewer, urged Mayor Adams to rescind the RFP and to enter into negotiations with the Central Park Conservancy. Now, the Conservancy, as we heard, had already offered the Parks Department a historic investment of $120 million to maintain and operate the rink, an unprecedented amount when it comes to gifts to the City of New York and its parks. They also offered to reimagine the entire southeast corner of Central Park. The Conservancy's plan would fix access in and around Bowman for individuals with disabilities, repair failing stormwater infrastructure, and restore the nearby pond, and ensure Woolman is integrated into the park's natural setting rather than looming over it. These are critical upgrades that Central Park is in need of. And this offer appropriately takes a comprehensive view of Woolman Rink as a part of a larger Central Park.
1 minute remaining.
And having the steward of the park also manage Woolman Rink is not only the correct choice, it is the most logical and responsible one. Woolman Park Partners 2 LLC has offered a tenth of the investment that the Conservancy has offered and leaves us with just a promise to make a profit. They will make the rink unaffordable for most New Yorkers, charging $40 per person to skate during primetime skating hours, whereas the Conservancy only charges $10 for their rink at the Davis Center. What makes New York City the city we all love is our parks, their beauty, accessibility, and affordability. Woolman Rink is a public good. The public deserves someone who puts them first and will act in the public, not private interest. By definition, a private corporation, especially one as large as Related, will not do that. I urge the Commission to reject this proposal and begin a new process that prioritizes New Yorkers, prioritizes our public parks, and seeks out innovation and the public interest instead of profit. That is our responsibility as city government officials. Central Park and all of New Yorkers' parks belong to New Yorkers, not to billionaires. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
Malik Garvin, please state your name and affiliation for the record.
My name is Malik Garvin. I'm the Executive Director and a proud alumni of Ice Hockey in Harlem. Ice Hockey in Harlem is a community-based organization. We provide ice hockey and educational enrichment programs free of charge to boys and girls ages 3 through 18 who live in the neighborhood and who wouldn't otherwise have access due to financial barriers. I'm here to testify in favor of Woolman Park Partners 2. For the past 4 years, Ice Hockey in Harlem has operated out of Woolman Rink, a necessity with the closing of Lasker Rink. We actually went to the previous management program and said, we need your help, and they said, no problem. The result of that is we became an official community partner. For the past 4 years, we brought over 100 kids each week, ages 3 through 10, down to Woolman Rink, who've been granted free access to ice skate there. The definition of inclusion, kids and parents from an underserved community, access to skate and play hockey in Midtown Manhattan. It's been access for kids and parents alike. Our partnership with Woolman Park Partners has changed and improved the quality of life for Ice Hockey in Harlem participants, parents, and volunteer coaches. It's a big deal for them to have a place where they feel welcome in Midtown Manhattan, a place that they would not otherwise have access to, due to financial barriers. It makes my day every time I come to the rink and I hear from a parent that they stopped by Woolman Rink to skate over the weekend. It's something that simply wouldn't be possible without the goodwill of our partnership. We have open and constant communication with Woolman Park leadership. They continue to meet and exceed our needs, including hosting our annual graduation for over 300 people on site. It's catered, they have pictures and videos on display, and it's a strong showing of our program and our community. Woolman Park Partners continues to act in the best interest of our community, of community organizations, and provide security and sustainability that we would not have otherwise had. Again, our home rink closed 4 years ago, and we didn't have any solutions. We went to them, and they offered their help, and it's been the driving force and the reason that we still have a program 5 years later, because we're able to bring in 50 new families every year. They learn how to skate at Woolman Rink. It's a whole new experience. I started as an Ice Hockey Home alumni at 3 years old, 30 years ago at Lasker Rink. And I know the power of the sport and the community organizations, these partnerships. My story is that ice hockey got me my education, and the same rings true for the boys and girls in our program today. And I just got back from a trip this weekend with 8 Ice Hockey Harlem girls. We took a plane to the University of Wisconsin and visited the top women's team in the country. And most of those girls started skating at Woolman Rink. They started playing hockey at Woolman Rink. So I would say to this, never underestimate the power of inclusion at this rink, and we've been very thankful for Woolman Park Partners. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the next person who wishes to testify?
We have now heard all testimony on this calendar item.
Does the agency presenting calendar items have any statements for the record?
Yes. New York City Parks deeply values our long-standing partnership with the Central Park Conservancy. However, Parks has historically awarded the operation of Woolman Rink through an open, competitive solicitation process. This has been the case for decades. CPC had an opportunity to submit a proposal in response to the RFP, similar to other nonprofit partners of Parks, such as the Prospect Park Alliance, who proposed on and currently operates the Prospect Park Tennis Center. However, CPC chose not to submit a proposal for one, claiming instead that Parks should have foregone any type of open, competitive process and instead directly awarded a license to them via a sole source agreement, bypassing the process that had been in place for decades. Invoking the Davis Center, CPC has framed their offer to the city as a gift, but a closer look at their plan raises questions about them. CPC conditioned their offer on the city, on contributing $30 million